I don't know what's worse, Private Pookie or Sergeant Simp. Coming to paperback and e-readers, A Steam Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in digital format at Amazon.com, Google Play, Draft2Digital, and other digital booksellers, or pick up your paperback copy on May 24th. A U.S. soldier is being detained in Russia on a series of charges for alleged crimes. Now, according to reports, Staff Sergeant Gordon Black, who was 34 years old, was about 2 weeks away from ending his service of his tour in Korea and was just about to return from Korea to the United States in Texas. Now, Gordon Black had a series of problems in Texas that he was basically going to be dealing with after ending his tour because his wife of 2 years and his girlfriend of over about 7 or 8 years before that he had a 6.5-year-old child with was filing for divorce from him, and he was going to have to be dealing with the family courts in Texas as related to his tour of service. But that did not stop Gordon Black from continuing to pursue a relationship with a Russian woman while he was in Korea. Now, while Gordon Black was in Korea, he got involved with a Russian woman, and as he got involved with this Russian woman, she basically was seen as a liability by the Korean government, which deported her back to Russia, and that basically was an issue for Gordon Black, who decided that as he was in this relationship with this woman while he was still married, was so caught up in his feelings about her that he wanted to see her in Russia. And as he was making plans to see this woman, he basically ignored all the warnings from the U.S. State Department that told him that this was a country that you do not travel to because, according to the State Department, Russia is not a place American soldiers are advised to travel to due to the strained diplomatic relationship between Russia and the United States due to the Ukrainian war. And because of the strained diplomatic relations, most members of the military are told not to travel to Russia, but Staff Sergeant Gordon Black didn't care about that rule as related to his own safety. No, he was so caught up and enamored by the crystal blue eyes and creamy white skin and long blonde hair of this Russian woman that he basically flouted the diplomatic warnings, got on a plane and went to Vladivostok, Russia, and went to go see this woman and hoped to possibly be able to put the red, white, and blue carbon rod in the Russian atomic waste reactor. However, as he got to Vladivostok, Russia, this woman, who saw how thirsty this dude was, decided to pull a crap test on this American man, where she made an accusation that he allegedly stole $100, contacted Russian police, and those Russian police then arrested Gordon Black for theft of personal property. And after they arrested Gordon Black for theft of personal property, he was released for a moment, then re-arrested again, and re-arrested again, basically because, according to some reports, the Russian government saw an American in their country and wanted to make an example out of this American citizen. And this is the reason why Staff Sergeant Gordon Black is currently being detained. Now, the American State Department and the Russian police see this as an isolated diplomatic incident, but when I take a critical examination of the alleged behavior of Staff Sergeant Gordon Black, it definitely fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis, and it also fits the pattern and profile of simps that I talk about in my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. And like Private Pookie, who I talked about in a previous video, who ran across the South Korean border into North Korea because he basically jammed himself up, Gordon Black basically didn't show any sort of critical thinking skills as he was in another country. And that's basically because Gordon Black clearly shows that he had no really good male life skills or male survival skills to understand how to navigate a course in a country, because here was a man who was basically 2 weeks away from being having his tour and could have ended his tour on a high note, but because he was basically not critically thinking and reacting by thinking with his penis, he basically screwed himself up, and screwed himself up so badly by getting involved with clearly a female predator who was looking to prey on this man, a man who just really was just so caught up in his feelings about being able to get involved with this foreign woman, not understanding that this foreign woman wasn't looking out for him as a man, because if she was looking out for him as a man, she wouldn't have told him to come to Russia, knowing that there clearly was a strained relationship between the United States and Russia due to the Ukrainian war. No, that woman wasn't looking out for this sergeant and basically put him in this whole diplomatic situation, because what she was looking to do was not have a relationship where she was looking for love. No, she was looking for power and control, and that was basically shown by the crap test she pulled. Once that man flew over to Russia, she basically saw that this man was a simp because he was basically so caught up in his feelings that he was willing to put all of his intangibles at risk, like his health and his safety, and most importantly his freedom, because right now Russia has a serious issue with American citizens in their country due to the strained diplomatic relations. But this man wasn't thinking about that because he was so caught up in his feelings and dumbfounded by her beauty and that booty. And as he was dumbfounded by that beauty and that booty, he put more important intangibles at risk, like his freedom and his safety, because he wasn't, again, thinking critically about those things. I mean, you have the State Department, again, a federal organization, telling American soldiers, hey, this country is on a do not travel list, but yet this guy goes out and goes against the standards of the U.S. military, and the State Department goes and puts the money in for a plane ticket and looks to fly to a country that we are clearly enemies with right now. Again, showing no real good judgment as related to things, because for him, getting an opportunity to put the red, white, and blue carbon rod in the Russian atomic reactor and being able to participate in some nuclear fusion was more important to him than his intangibles of his manhood, like his dignity and his self-respect, and even more important than his freedom, and even to the point where he was just so thirsty for this woman that he wasn't even listening to his own mother, who also told him, don't go over there. I mean, people gave this male all these warnings, but because he was so eager to get sexual access, he was looking to get the draws, but the whole thing that was going to happen in that country was he was gonna get screwed. And that's basically what happened to Gordon Black. He basically got himself screwed out of his freedom because the woman who he went to see, again, she wasn't really concerned with him. No, she saw a big, fat, juicy simp that she thought she could get leverage over, and she thought she could get leverage over him. And wanted to get that leverage, but that attempt to get leverage basically blew up in her face because the government saw him as a nice bargaining tool for their whole diplomatic situation. And now Gordon Black basically is going to lose possibly months and even years out of his life because he's basically going to be used as a proxy for America and basically railroaded through the Russian criminal justice system, similar to Brittany Griner, the WNBA player who basically spent months in a Russian jail because, like Gordon Black, she wasn't critically thinking. All she was thinking about was making money, but not understanding that when your country is in conflict with another country, the last place you want to be is in a country where this country is having diplomatic issues with another country. And sadly, he wound up in this situation similar to what happened to Private Pookie, because sadly, like Private Pookie, who ran across the South Korean border into North Korea because he didn't have the proper male life skills or the proper male survival skills to understand that when you're in another country, you need to really watch how you move. When you're in another country, you really need to watch how you move in those countries because you are not in the United States. No, you are under another country's jurisdiction. And when you're in another country's jurisdiction, you are having to comply to the laws in those countries. However, when I look at this situation, it seems the Russian government has the same gynocentric policies in place because the way this woman made this accusation of this man stealing $100 and getting him locked up is the same way a lot of guys in America get jammed up when the woman can't get her way or she's trying to pull a game. This man can wind up getting himself arrested and jammed up because this woman is in her feelings and wants to be able to sate her feelings by breaking a man down. But this guy, again, couldn't see the big picture regarding this woman because he was thinking, oh, this woman likes me. This woman is paying attention to me. But again, he wasn't paying attention to the big picture because if this woman cared about this man or cared about his safety, she would have said, okay, I know my country is having friction with me and I'm already dealing with something because I just been deported. We're going to have to charge this guy to the game, or we're going to have a long-term thing. I'm not going to tell this man to come to a country where he can get jammed up because that's not going to be good for him. But what she was looking for was, again, a simp that she could get control over and take advantage of. And sadly, Gordon Black showed that he was that kind of guy because he had already been in one situation with the woman here in America that showed me that he really didn't know how to have a relationship with a woman because he was in a relationship for years with the mother of his child. I mean, he had been with this woman for years, never really committing to her. I mean, he had 16 years in the military, never married that woman until about 2 years ago, and then just possibly married her for obligation because he wanted to take care of the child. But the whole thing was he never really committed to her, showing me that he really didn't have good leadership skills or male life skills as related to women, and that's possibly one of the reasons why his marriage wound up messing up. And then he wound up getting involved with this female predator, showing me that he really didn't have good discernment as related to relationships with women. And basically, as he showed he didn't have good discernment with women, he basically showed that he wasn't really ready to take on the responsibilities of a man, because this whole situation shows how he went from being a man to winding up becoming a man in crisis, who is now on his way to getting possibly railroaded through the Russian criminal justice system, where he will be in a Russian jail for some time, dealing with the Russian versions of Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles, and possibly dealing with those Russian versions of Igor and Hugo and all of those other guys, and possibly in a situation where he may wind up getting traded for the Russian version of Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, packets of off-brand Oreo cookies and other assorted commissary, and dealing with the horrors of the Russian version of Mr. Sprinkles. I mean, this is the horrors that this man is getting in, all because he wanted to go out here and get with a Russian woman. I mean, he wanted to go travel to go get with this so-called better Russian woman, and wound up in a worse situation just 2 weeks away from basically wrapping up his tour in Korea. I mean, going from wrapping up a career in 2 weeks in Russia to winding up possibly being in jail for 5 or more years in a Russian jail. I mean, that is the worst deal, but that's the kind of deal simps get into, because they get caught up in their feelings over a woman, get so caught up in their feelings over a woman that they really don't think critically about more important things, such as their freedom, such as their health and safety. I mean, these are things that a man really has to think about, because there are more important things than the attention of a woman. I mean, yeah, you like that woman, but if that woman is in a far away place and she's in a country that is an enemy of your country, you do not go out and put your freedom at risk for that woman. No, you go out and charge that woman to the game, keep it moving. And as related to this guy's case, he should have been keeping it moving, because he had a situation going on in family court he needed to resolve, but all that stuff is up in limbo now, and basically will be stuck in limbo. And that's all because this man was not thinking like a leader. No, instead of thinking like a leader, he didn't think like a man thinking about solving his problems, and now his problems just got worse because he got involved with the wrong woman. And as he got involved with the wrong woman, possibly for the second time, this man, who could have ended his military career on a high note, is in an ignominious end because he didn't think like a man. No, he didn't think like a man, and that's why he's a man in crisis right now. Now, had this soldier wound up just reading my book, Stop Simping, he possibly never would have gotten involved with this Russian woman. And what's really sad here is that this is showing me a pattern, sadly, as related to military soldiers not getting the information they need as men, possibly before they enter the military. Because when I look at this guy and I look at the behavior of Private Pookie, it shows me we have a real problem with our soldiers not getting those male life skills and male survival skills before they enter into these foreign countries, and them not having those male life skills and male survival skills is leading to these guys getting jammed up. And that's all, again, because these guys don't have that home training as men, and because they don't have that home training as men, and they don't have the guidance to teach them what they need to be men, what's happening to these guys is that they're in the military and they're making a mess out of their lives, and that's leading to them winding up becoming men in crisis. Now, if you want to learn how to avoid predatory women like this woman who this guy ran into in Russia, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, on Amazon.com, in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also get the companion books in the Simp series, Stop Simping in the Workplace, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, and my book, The Man Crisis, to learn about all the dysfunctional behaviors of beta males that lead to them getting in jammed up situations. You can find all 4 of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos about men's issues, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Bride of Dracula. Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the Dark Vampire in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.